Good morning. We made it to another Friday. All right. Well, yesterday was a running in place day. Inside day. Let's see, S&P's traded inside the prior day's range. There's a lot of going nowhere. And so today, which way will it go? Which leads us to SPX and zero DTA call spread. I don't know about today. I think based on where the premiums are, it's kind of a coin flip and it's too tight. Some days maybe it's best to stay away, or at least let's wait 10 minutes or so to see which way it goes. Yeah, charts. Another brain damage day, TJ. Sorry about that. There we go. All right. So we've got this inside day going on from yesterday, and get a little spotlight here. All right. And you see, just running in place yesterday. And if this was 2 o'clock, meaning 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday with this pattern, this is exactly what I am looking for a late day trade. In this case, on the short side, where the 20 is just under the 60 and starting to roll. It's under the 200 and there's a void below. So what are things up here? Up a little bit, not really going much of anywhere, but this is a setup that I really like for a late day trade, and below the opening price. And it wasn't below yesterday's close, but sometimes you don't get it perfect. But, we start with what is ideal and then put it in the context of what is and decide whether it's good enough. So we'll see. Maybe this is set up for that. And if this open, this is a little higher here, actually starts to fall apart, well, then you can consider 46.95. Last time I looked was 45 cents by 60 cents, but you can see it's pretty close. Where it's like this, if it was to actually get above this level, it could be within striking distance, but 4,700 is a big level. And I think it's highly unlikely it's getting there or through it today. We don't want it to go up there today. As I explained yesterday, when you get a pullback like this where buyers step up so aggressively, it often sets up into an M top. So we've got this momentum type of a move. We've got a pivot high up here, a little turn. And we don't want this to go up here. We want it to come down here. Not necessarily today. But if it was to come down here next week, that sets up a much higher probability or reward to risk setup where it could move back up within an uptrend. We don't want setups that immediately are going to hit price resistance where we know that they're sellers. So we don't want this to go up. So if it starts moving down, obviously this premium at 46.95 is going to evaporate, which opens the door to, do we want to do the put side? And 46.15 is where there's some premium. So if this should start to roll over, ideally what we want is to see it come down fast. Right? Because if it comes down slow, even the premium that's there could evaporate if it's a slow move. If it comes down real fast, maybe you can get under 4,600 because the premiums would then increase. So right now, to say, to go to 46.15, where it looks like, the odds are it could go down here because that's where we want it to go. But if it would have to break yesterday's low. Remember the prior 2 weeks when this was going up, we constantly talked about, does it break a prior day's low? Yeah, it's extended, but it's got to break a prior day's low. And it didn't. And it didn't over here. And especially on a closing basis, right here, it looked like it'd go down, but it did the time correction versus the did a time correction versus a price correction, meaning pulling back, which is bullish. And now we're getting a price correction within an uptrend where any significant support is way down here, which thought process leads to any pullback that is reasonable within this move is buyable. So minor resistance on the weekly pivot at 4,500. Yeah, you can see I've got it marked off here. Right, 45.36-ish, give or take. If I line that up, so it doesn't have to be exact, but 4,500 is a little bit below that, but that's a whole number. And so that's down here. So we don't want it to come down that far, Thane, but we want it to stop in maybe just below the 20, right? Moving averages are subjective. So ideally it comes below the 20 into this area here, right? 45.75-ish. That would be a reasonable pullback and then a turn. Now, if this market is, still in the seasonality of the Santa Claus rally and late end of year rally type of thing, what we might see, I'm getting ahead of ourselves, but a red bar ignored, or it takes out that weekly low and flips back up next week, which at that point, what you would hear me say is this looks more like a continuation pattern that could go higher. And I would actually then follow it up with a possibly of a measured move, which would put it, way up here, which seems crazy, but this market's a bit crazy. So we take it step by step and apply bar by bar analysis, because obviously this looks like it should pull back a bit. But if the next bar is a correction bar where it takes out the low and flips back up, that thought has to be adjusted. So bar by bar analysis, very powerful concept. And as I explained in one of our MT lives, I originally came up with that to just keep the focus on the moment of, which was, primarily day trades, and to stay with a trade or say, hey, this ain't working, get out. And it's evolved into much more than that, as I'm explaining here. So those of you that are coming into the YouTube a little late on SPX, I was explaining it's pretty tight today. And so, the premiums were at 46.15 and 46.95, which is, it's a little bit tight for my comfort level, because it's within striking distance of either way of this pattern. And so, you're going to have to decide right now. Are we going to go and look at the futures here? And you can see it's just another inside day. So being up in the morning doesn't mean it's something to be bullish about, or if it was down to be bearish about, because it's just still running in place, even tighter than yesterday so far. And just looking at, this, dragging this down here, we've got a little trading range going on. So, the upside, the next pivots are up here. It's not that far away. And the downside, we've got this pivot, but because this is in a downtrend, and it's got to fall from here down to here, right? And then obviously below to be thinking bullishly, which leads to, there's really nothing here at the moment that says this is a great opportunity, since this is moving back up. Now, do we want to short at this pivot? Well, you can see the 5-minute, is moving up here. That's not my type of trade, meaning this is in an uptrend. And just because it's at resistance where I know there's going to be sellers, doesn't mean I just want to be a seller up there and short it, because I want to respect the power of this trend on the 5-minute, as a day trade. So I would need this to stall, turn, create an M top. Then I might consider a short setup there. But right now, I'm just, stand aside as far as these futures trades. If it gets above here, that opens the door to possibly coming up into here. Right? So it just coming back, whether it's SPX or the futures, SOH. at the open, just based on what we talked about here so far. Qs, same story, trading range going on. Now, if this gets weaker later in the day and we close with a red bar, well, that opens up the door to a measured move lower. But we're at the beginning of the day. We have to see how this evolves. Right now, buyers are stepping up here. It's taking out these highs, which clearly is going to bring buyers. Red bar, or does it have to break below the low? So this dog. 1 second. Once it's a red bar, Debbie, it's got to break below the low. Right. So if we were to have a close below the open today and it's still an inside bar, it's got to break below the low of the prior day. Yes. And so whether we're talking about daily charts or 5-minute charts, any setup based on our method requires that minute confirmation of breaking on the downside of prior bars low or to the upside of prior bars high. That's one concept, right? One concept. Then from there, well, if it breaks a prior bars high, where might it go? Is there a void, or is the next reference point of price resistance directly overhead, which then leads my thinking to, this is just chop. I've got no setup here that gives me a good reward to risk. Right? Ebug said to me, Greg, could you expand the 60-minute chart? I can do that, but I have it a little scrunched up like this to be able to see what's to the left. But if I expand it, so you can see, what's going on here. Right? We got to know what's to the left. Right? As this came down here, that's why, and it came down there and it tested that the other day. Yesterday was just running in place. We're going nowhere here this morning. So it's kind of a coin flip as to which way it goes. Right now, we've got some buyers stepping up in same situation of coming up to the prior high there, which is yesterday's high. I'm coming to believe that Doggy knows the future. Doggy that barks is a little, I don't know, on edge lately, barking at every little noise. A little bit of a Kukovitz sometimes. I don't know. All right, let's see what the. Yeah. So this is a little bit more of what we would like as far as a pullback. At least it's 3 bars down. Today's inside day here. I like the hourly chart a little better, even for a day trade type of, up into this area. It's still not that big. Weekly, we're getting, a turn here. So, yesterday's trading, we mentioned this in the room yesterday, is that as like I looked at, I've got these screens with like 100 thumbnails on them. It's one of my ways of scanning besides just using TC2000 and just bringing up that particular page that has all of these charts. And as I go through them, I see everything is in conflict between the strength of the daily, right, that hasn't corrected enough, and we just not having any great patterns. Right? We're looking at the diamonds put spread for next week. Well, it depends on how far away, McGraw, how far away. So this up a little bit. It's obviously a lot more thinly traded, just above 360. And, it was down here in that thing down here. You look, rather than a put spread, McGraw, if there was premium down here, which I haven't looked at all, why not just sell a naked put and take assignment if it's down there. I mean, if it was down there, there's going to be buyers. So I may as well take all of the premium rather than a spread and let them put it to me. Yeah. All right. Russell. We don't want this. Right? This is at these pivots too, but we don't want to go up here. Now we'll deal with it if it does today from a day trading perspective, but we really don't like longs, right? From a swing trade, we're not doing this. I'm not doing it as a swing because it's too close to the prior resistance. So I want to see this fail today and then set up a measured move lower. That's going to set up a great buying opportunity because the weekly is so bullish and with this wide range bar igniting. You can place SMH, that's extended. Right. Kind of going nowhere at a big whole number here. We want to see this come down. Right? I want to see it come down. That doesn't mean I get what I want, right? But as far as the most desirable pattern is having this market correct a bit further, coming down towards some support level to set up a buy. All right. Silver looking good, right? It's up at resistance. Gold, right? Stall there. And we talked about this was setting up, getting tighter here, setting up a long. Right? It's come up nicely. It's cleared resistance. Should go higher. Crude oil. This is what I mentioned this yesterday. You know where this broke support, where the others will not break support, pulling back even further. But when you're so close to this resistance, you're going to have sellers up there. Right? And so why am I going to go long something where I know there's going to be sellers directly up above and they hit it hard? So this is correcting a bit and the weekly supports that correction that's going on here. Bitcoin forming a topping tail on the weekly. So immediately, again, correcting a bit as it come there, big whole number up there. So those that think Bitcoin's going to 100,000, you really want to see it hold this level at 60,000 to 58,000 if this continues to correct here coming down. It's lost its momentum. See the distance between the highs there? It immediately corrected once it took that out. Bonds, there's craziness going on here where it came greater than 100% retracement and a big green bar up, which is normal, but it flipped it right back down again. I was just jiggling around over here and just looking at the interest rates. You can see, breaking down and flipping back up again. So a lot of uncertainty going on, what the markets are going. Are they going to correct a bit or the buyer's going to show up right away? So SOH for the time being and transports, right? Same story. We want to see them come down a bit. This is at prior resistance. And just take a look at this. Right back up again. I don't have time to go through yield curves here, but just look at, the dollar just continues to be strong. And this is the euro, right? The euro against the dollar. And this is just tanking here. And maybe it's heading back toward parity. Maybe that's pretty far away, but it certainly looks like it's going to go lower with this topping pattern here. And why is the dollar so strong? It's the market anticipating that the Fed is getting pushed into a corner where an interest rate hike may be coming sooner than what most believe is possible. Because markets, as you know, anticipate, and currencies are closely tied to interest rates. So what's driving the dollar up? Well, I think it's a belief that they're going to increase interest rates sooner. They're going to be forced to. The market's forcing their hand here with that, and which leads further into market analysis that those companies doing business overseas are going to become less profitable, which is going to affect earnings, which could affect, things like the Dow and the broader market. So,
Yeah, but Greg, the transportation secretary said the socialist bill is going to ease inflation. So, we should be okay.
well, Dan, I don't think you're banking your advice on politicians. I know you're kidding, but all yours.
All right. Good morning. Happy Zero DTE Day. Yeah, it's so funny how politicians, they just spin whatever the heck they want to peddle. Hey, Debbie, what's shaking? Yeah, Zero DTE. We got to go pot cannabis shopping again. So Tilray Dog, we said yesterday I was going to buy half yesterday's high, half over the red bar. And I posted another naked put. And unfortunately, it's rallying too much here. So, core trade, well, I'll get us into at least a half lot this morning. But it's a core cannabis. We're also giving, look, it's lighter volume. I see one print up there at 1930. I know, John. We'll get it. We'll get it right one of these days. Yeah, ACB. I like Tilray pattern better. We talk about them every day. All right, so our opens are fine. I have NVIDIA as a zero DTE call spread. I posted it. What did Elon do this time? But yeah, he's a danger on his Twitter device. That's for darn sure. Yeah, the cover of the journal today said that he's not done selling, but that's not news to me. All right, let me go through my list before I answer your questions. Let's see, David, you gave me, where are you? Intuit. So this is a zero DTE call spread candidate too. I like this. Let me put him in a window on my other computer. NTU. What, on Tesla? Yeah, no, with the usual suspects, we'll look for call or put spreads. Yeah, absolutely. Netflix is a put spread candidate, 10-minute high under yesterday's low. So that's just eyeballing there, the 650. Tesla, I really don't know whether that's would be bull or bear right now. Actually, we might be able to do a condor on Tesla. We do the 1,000 on the put side, 11, maybe 20 on the call side. But we'll watch them. All right, bottom right here, HYZN. Bottoming pattern had earnings gapping up to 690. So this is a beautiful 1, 2, 3 from a bottoming pattern, but it's gapping. See right there. So I like this one. So this is a candidate, a gapper, tier 1. Fitch gap's too big. It's gapping way the heck up here, but it has room to 50 on the weekly. So I'll watch that on a pullback. J&J is the big news today. That is splitting into 2 companies. The gap to 167.50. Let's see, that's a beautiful gap. It's not too big. It's out of a bottoming pattern. I got the 20 and the 50, and I got a price void. So That's beautiful. Now put him in a 5-minute window and we'll see what he does. Of course, my bro, I wouldn't be capping like that if it weren't. Hood. Gapping up to resistance. Yeah, that could be maybe a put spread. Hut, I saw gapping also. Hut, it's one of these marijuana. I'm not marijuana. A Bitcoin kind of trade. So that might be a 0 DTE trade. Let me continue with this list. TH 539. It trades pretty whippy, but nice weekly breakout. NUZE, look at that rocket ship yesterday. My gosh. You know, gapping up here now. I don't know what to do with that. That looks like a day trader toy. This looks like maybe a pump and dump stock. Every time it gets pumped, it gets whacked. That's what that looks like to me, pump and dumper. Open, I read this in the journal. Hey, do you remember I said yesterday with, Zillow getting out of the home flipping business? And I said, they're just gonna sell them to a competitor or private equity firm or just go on a blue light special. I read that Open Door, that they're getting a big benefit of Z going out of business. Very sloppy here and not a directional pattern whatsoever. But let's keep an eye on this for a put spread. CHH is a hotel. Hey, there was some guy on TV talking about hotel business, and they showed 4 hotels. And I know we always look at Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt as kind of the 3 monsters, but CHH, that's an amazing uptrend. Look at that thing. That is a great example of moving averages. Also, do you remember when we did that MT live? Look at this. You could have traded this stock just when that blue broke out. Fitch, we talked about. So, man, it's slow. All right, so ping here, earnings, nasty gap. That would be a call spread. Yeah, Lawrence, that's my experience of all those things. When they say, oh, I'll make you an offer on the spot. Well, of course you will. A crappy offer. All right, Intuit now gapping up, I see, so no pattern. So there was Intuit, and it has earnings next week. It was kind of an M top here, but it has earnings next week. All right, Tilray will be, all right, let's buy a pullback on Tilray. Because I do not want to buy a 5-minute high.